welcome back. We're here with Diego Pesantez, military member, father, and entrepreneur. We actually did this once before together with like mics and stuff, which was super awesome. But I decided to go this YouTube route. So I feel like we're in person again, even though we're going from afar. But I think now that was like a year ago. Your business has blown up since then, right? Or 2 years ago.
Yes, yeah, it's been about a little bit over a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you're doing, and I'm sure we'll get into it, but you're doing so many other things in comparison to what you were doing a year ago, you know?
Yes.
Okay, so talk to me a little bit about your your history. We'll get into the entrepreneurship, your fatherhood, but talk to me a little bit about what you do full time, when you joined the military, what kind of sort of positions you are in now, and what that looks like.
So so yeah, I'm currently in the military. I'm active duty in the National Guard. I currently do HR, so I deal with a lot of paperwork. I joined back in 2000. So I just dated myself. I'm pretty old. Although I don't feel old. But yeah, I joined back in 2000. Military was never a plan uh, for me. I was actually studying architecture.
Okay.
I loved uh, I loved art and drawing, drafting buildings, all that stuff. So I would never wanted to be in the military. The recruiters used to bug me all the time. My plan was to go and become an architect. I was in a private school in Wisconsin, and debt just hit me really hard.
Yeah.
At that time, I think it was $36,000 a year for school. So within the first semester, I was like 15 grand in debt. The job that I was holding was paying like $6 an hour. I
Mhm.
was working at Kmart, so I wasn't able to pay that. Yeah, right. I definitely dated myself now. uh, but yeah, it wasn't enough. So the recruiters were like, "Hey, we can help you out. We can pay your debt, and if you join the army." So there I was. I joined the army, and right out of pretty much high school, because I only did like half a year of college, and got stationed at Fort Leonard Wood. No, Fort Lewis, and then did my 3 years. Um, war kicked off, and I don't know. I just kind of liked the structure in the military, I guess. And I had lost a couple of friends there, so I just got out and joined back in. And 27 years later, I'm in now. So not 27, 24. So, but yeah, that's me now.
Okay, so how would you say that that's helped you become an entrepreneur? I mean, because you do the military full time, and then your business is actually just kind of, I don't want to say it's part time, but for now it is, right? It's not something that you have a main
Yeah.
income coming in for.
Yes, it is correct. My business is part-time, even though I feel like I'm working full-time.
Yeah,
But so how do I got into the business? I will say that since I was little,
yeah.
um, I always I always felt like I was meant to be in this world for more.
Hmm.
Um, I I grew up in a household that when I was a kid, we kind of had everything we needed in
Yeah.
Ecuador. After my parents split, obviously finances were not a thing. So at a very young age, I started helping my mom. I went to work at the age of 14 on a restaurant and stuff. So I always told myself, I was like, I don't want to be in this kind of situation. But I knew that I was not meant to just stay average, you know. So I've always had that hunger to like to go for the next big thing, right? And but to me, it was like once I get it, then I was like, all right, I got here, and then what's new, right? It's now
Right.
something I could just settle, you know what I mean? So um, I think the military, in a way, helped me just to kind of keep myself structured, I guess, right? Because what's happening is, I would just go and let's say I wanted to you know do a thing, and then I'll get there and then I'll just lose interest because I already got it, and then I'll move to the next thing. So I think the military kind of kept helped me kind of like, structure myself and say, okay, all right, you're gonna go after this, and then continue with it and kind of stay on a path instead of just being all over the place.
Sure.
So, so yeah, and after being in the military, I just kind of felt like this wasn't it. You know what I mean? I felt like I needed something that will take me to the next level,
Right.
um, and I decided to just start my own business. I just don't want to work for anybody anymore. I want to do my own thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's
So your business is Battle Cry Gear, BCG. How did you come up with a name? It's an interesting
yes.
name, right? Uh,
Yes.
like it's not something that you see very often. Military people get it, I think, but where did that come from?
So just to kind of go back a little bit, when I decided to go live with the company, it originally began with like just a sticker idea, right?
Yeah,
There were some dark times in my and during my time that where I had to force myself to kind of stay positive, and so the word just another day in paradise was my thing, right? So that
oh,
was
that's
the
right. Yeah, okay.
quote that I use all the time to just kind of stay positive, because anybody would ask me like, hey, how you doing today? I was just another day in paradise, so people will take it as they felt, right, as
Yeah.
sarcasm, as an actually like, a good thing, and it will make me smile and make my day. So I was like, I want to put this in a sticker.
Mhm.
So I was in the military, my newest assignment, and I told my shop, I was like, hey, I want to do this sticker and I need ideas. So then we came out with this whole idea about the sticker, whatever, and I was ready to go live when the idea of making a T-shirt came on.
Uh-huh.
So then from then he moved on to like, all right, if I'm gonna make a T-shirt, I might as well just make a brand, all
Yeah.
right? And let's make some some shirts and all this other stuff. So that is where the whole I want to make a company came along. So at that point, I started now. Okay, if I'm going to do this company thing, I need to make sure that I have a good name, a name that catches, right? So everybody tries to do the whole catchy thing, and that's what I went with,
Mhm.
right? I need something that's going to resonate with a lot of with my audience, with my and my clientele. So I started just throwing acronyms. I was like, all right, so what's going to stick? And I like BCG because in the military, those are called birth control glasses, right?
Yep.
So back in when I first came in, we used to have this brown, ugly glasses that when you look at it, when you put them on, is just nobody's going to come and talk to you. I
Yeah.
mean,
Birth
hence.
control for a reason.
Yep, exactly. And people think that we just made that up. If you Google birth control glasses,
Yeah.
that is in history.
Yeah.
Uh, of when they came out. They came out back in their mid 70s is when the army decided to come up with that frame. Um, so I was all right. I got the name BCG birth control glasses, but obviously I can't call my company birth control glasses, right? So
Yeah.
I told my soldiers, I was like, hey, I need to come up with a meaning behind BCG. I know I want the G to stand for gear. So start shooting some ideas. And one of my soldiers was like, what about battle cry? And I was like, battle cry. I was like, that is military. It
Yeah.
matches. I was like, battle cry gear. And the more I said, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So that is where battle cry gear name came out. And BCG as an acronym related and tied it with the glasses.
Yeah.
So I use the glasses as my logo. So
Yep.
that is the logo of my company, is the glasses. And then the just another day in paradise is kind of like our slogan.
Hmm.
And if you look at the logo in inside the glasses, I have a beach.
Hmm.
And the reason why I put it there is because to me is the glasses is what makes you see, right? And the beach resembles the your paradise, right? So it's up to you to kind of see through your lenses what is your paradise, right? So that was the whole idea behind the design of the glasses with the beach in there. Is like no matter where you're at, it's up to you to see where your paradise is going to be. So yeah, it's
That's
that, I
super.
love it.
I know we've talked about where like the soldier story, but I actually didn't know in depthly why you chose the glasses and then why you chose to put the beach in the glasses. So that was something new for me that there was really like a lot of thought behind that. Um, that's super awesome. I'll have to once I put this up live, I'll throw the logo on there so that way everyone can see it that's listening because it's super awesome. But I can also sort of see it in the upper corner of your on the t-shirt. It's
Yes.
fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
That,
Actually, I actually have.
yeah, let's see it.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, there we go.
So yeah, so that is the actual design. Obviously, the slogan's at the bottom, but yeah, the beach, right? So to me, it was important to have that because that is what kept me focused. It kept me positive through some really tough times
Yeah,
earlier in my career. So yeah, it's just kind of telling people, hey, it's all up to you to find that paradise. It's
yeah,
how you see things and how you take on challenges that makes it worth it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. So obviously you had never done t-shirts before, so or stickers. So that was a learning curve in itself. Not only were you starting a new business, but now you're all of a sudden having to learn how to run a business because you've never done that before, right?
yep,
Make t-shirts, make stickers. I mean, and what now you're doing embroidery. So this has been like a huge learning curve, I would say, right?
yes,
Not to discredit everything that you've done before, but a t-shirt business and then now then the challenges of obviously everyone else having or other people having t-shirt businesses. So talk maybe a little bit about how that worked out. Like what were some learning curves? Like, I mean, you probably had to spend a ton of time just learn how to do screens. And I mean, did you know Adobe InDesign before or Adobe anything, you know?
no, I had zero. And when I say I mean zero experience on this, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah,
Uh, my first glance at how this actually worked was from another fellow screen printer, good friend of mine, who started his company and who I was going to go through to make my t-shirts.
yeah,
Um, the batch that I was trying to do was very small to where he was like, hey, I think why don't you buy the equipment, buy a small setup, and then and do your own stuff. I'll teach you, and then kind of that way you can kind of manage when you want to make t-shirts and all this stuff. So like that's not a bad idea. So he invited me to his house where he had his setup, and he kind of gave me a quick rundown. And I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. This is so cool. Like and I think on a for a person who has the mind of like trying to move up, I automatically saw business ideas. Like in my mind, it was just like I can't explain. As soon as I saw and he said like, hey, this is something that I can create on my own. I was like, oh wow, I was already seeing myself owning a business before I even decided to start the business.
hmm
Um, so I was like, awesome. So I went down there. He gave me a quick rundown, and I was like, all right, I think I can do this. Scary. I will say it wasn't something that I was like, yeah, let's just jump on it, right? It did take me a little bit to kind of gather myself, and I was like, all right, am I really going to do this? Am I take on the challenge and understood what are some of the complications I may come across, and I was like, yeah, you know what, that's let's do it. I've heard a lot of about that time. I was already listening to several entrepreneur podcasts
hmm
because I knew I wanted to do something back. I would say like 10 years ago, I wanted to open my own um, bar, a sports bar.
Yeah.
Had everything set up, and like I said, life events in my life caused that to put a pause. So I knew I wanted a business the entire time. I just didn't know what, right?
Yeah.
So when this came across, I was like, you know what? I hear all these entrepreneurs, and the biggest thing that they tell you is like, do it. When
Hmm.
you feel this, when you feel scared the most, that is the time where you have to jump. Because
Hmm.
if you don't, you're never going to find that perfect time, right? We always think like, hey, whenever I have this set up and I'm ready for it, I'll make sure I do it. But then when you get there, it's like something else is going to be you're going to be waiting on, right? So I said, all right. I took a deep breath and grabbed my credit card, and I was all right. I'm charging it. So I called a company that had the starter kits, and
Yeah.
I bought it. And I said, all right, good. And I went with it. I started watching YouTube videos. I started picking on my friend's brain on how certain things were done, and believe me, it was a big learning curve. I messed up a lot of garments. Um, but it was fun at the end. It was something that I found was kind of related with what I like. Like I said, I told you earlier, I love drawing.
Hmm.
So to me, this is an art form. Decorating a garment is not just about putting an image and just
Slapping it on a t-shirt.
and
Yeah.
then that's it. It takes a lot. It takes understanding placement. It takes understanding color combinations. It takes understanding the quality, what's going to look good. So it is a form of art. The trying to decorate this stuff, and I just fell in love with it. I really love with it. I Matter of fact, I don't know if you can see this. This is one of the shirts that I kind
Yeah, I remember that.
of dabbled on,
Yeah.
and it's super cool coming out with new designs and stuff. So, but as I started, growing into the with the screen printing, I felt like I was going to get stagnant and fall behind with the competition. Right? There's a lot of competition out there when it comes down to screen printing. So I needed to make sure that I stay current with other companies. So I moved into embroidery.
Hmm.
And that was another scary part, right? Because I was barely learning how to screen print. And then I said, I'm going to take on embroidery again. So then again, like, you know, it's just once moments where like, you know what, I'm just going to do it and I'll learn it. And for me, at least the way it works is I have to put myself in this spot in order for just take on the challenge. Because if I don't, I
Right.
won't do it.
Out
You
of
know,
fear, you won't. Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
Right. But that kind of makes you like so, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you originally started with the idea that you were just going to sell battle cry gear, right? And then,
Exactly.
yeah, and then you kind of started dabbling in doing other stuff, and you're like, wow, this is really blowing up more than I thought it would. And now you're kind of a one-stop shop, right? You don't have to outsource for anything, right?
Yeah, there's a couple things that I still outsource, like the stickers, right? So the stickers was just an idea that I had, and I outsourced that because I don't have it, the equipment yet, and I don't have the room. As you can see, some the back here as is my office is pretty full with stuff, and then my garage is now where my actual shop is.
Yeah.
But yes, that is pretty much the idea. It's to be a one stop shop. But uh what was I going to go with? It's it's crazy how like everything kind of unraveled. You know what I mean? It started with, like I said, just trying to build my own brand, and then all of a sudden I got stuck with all this equipment, and the brand didn't sell like I thought it was. Right?
Sure.
I got stuck. I bought all this merchandise. I printed it, and all of a sudden it just I think I sold like a quarter of it. So now I have all these boxes of printed shirts, and I was like, okay, that did not pan out like I had it in my mind. But I was not willing to be left there, right? I was like, okay, I am going to come out of this no matter what, right? So then I had talked to a friend about it, and they were like, well, do you print stuff for other people? And I was like, I can. Do you want me to? And he's like, yeah, I need some shirts. And so I was like, let's do it. So then that's when it grew the whole custom side of it.
Mhm.
I needed to make sure that I come out and I don't not get stuck with this huge bill
Sure.
um, on the machine. So then I kind of that opened up to more freedom for me to like actually advise people, and they're like, hey, I want to make this. And so then my people were taking my ideas, are like, all right, I will put I will do this, I will do this, and and that's where like kind of like the freedom of like art is starting to
Sure.
kind of grow more on me. And now I do both, right? So I have my custom side that I do for other people, and then I actually have my brand that I am working on. I'm building it still.
That's super sweet though, because I mean, I did I took I think it was graphics one and two they offered at my high school, and it was in the basement of our high school. And we got to do, for the most part, we got to do all of it, right? Like we
Yeah.
got to get, you get a assignment, we learned how to utilize, I think graphics one was primarily just navigating Adobe. Um,
Hmm.
and then, you can see, I know it's developed now where before, I don't know, I haven't dabbled in Adobe for some time, but like if you were tracing, trying to clear up a pixelated image, right?
Hmm.
So you could print it, you'd have to take the lines and adjust them one by one and click and do it. And I'm like, and I was like, wow, that looks good. And then I remember you print it out on a sheet, and my graphics teacher would look and he'd be like, do you see the ink's gonna be off there, there, there? And I'm like, dude, this dude blows. Like, what dick, right? But then it was funny because later on I took graphics too, and that was more of like learning how to paint the screens, burn the screens, clean the screens. Then, you're doing one color, then two colors, right? And you're learning that certain colors take to better ink, and all these like little tenacities of just like basic level graphic design. And I was overwhelmed. Like, it was funny. The basketball team, they wanted to do senior night, right?
Yeah.
Thought this shit was the coolest thing, right? Like I took some like Joker ass face and I put it on. I'll have to take a picture of it because I actually have it on a t-shirt blanket downstairs. But I
That
took
is
Joker ass face and I put it on a basketball, right? And I was like, this is gonna look amazing, right? Like, and then the front of it though, which thankfully I don't have it on the t-shirt, was like, do you remember like word art in Microsoft Word? Like
yes.
this was so cool. And you'd put like the heading and be like diagonal. It wasn't necessarily word art, but it was just, there was really no finesse to the front. It just, the back was like where it was cool, right?
Yeah.
And so I did it. And I remember my graphics teacher being like, hey, like that's a ton of detail, like in this face. Like you're, he'd only give us like certain size screens or whatever. He's like, you're kind of limited, like that, and it's going to be on a t-shirt and it has to be able to look good on a small and an extra large. Like, so like there's these things that you want to think about when you're, designing things, and you think it looks great on a piece of paper, it ends up looking like jack shit on a t-shirt. Like, no, dude, I talked to the basketball girls. They know. They're down with this design. They're super stoked about it. He's like, dude, whatever. Like you're taking a class, like rock on,
Yeah.
go ahead. Well, I ended up printing, I think there was 8 seniors. I ended up printing 8 shirts. But yeah, he was not wrong. Like my cool ass, I used black ink on an orange shirt, and what I thought was going to look super awesome, it didn't pop like I had thought it would so my point being, for bringing that up was, for you to essentially learn, just start the business, have this huge learning curve, probably spend a lot of trial and error. Like, I mean, I wasn't funding t-shirts. I didn't pay for Adobe InDesign. Like, people were giving me a grade to do something, right? And then I would be like, all right, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like now, like the seriousness that coincides with just holding a full-time job, being a father, and trying to learn your craft along with execute your craft, like, do you ever feel overwhelmed?
At times, I do feel overwhelmed. I will not lie. I think
Yeah,
that's part of human nature.
sure.
But but then I go back to like, you know, what was the reason why I went into this, right?
Right.
I go back to um the end state where I see myself
Mm-hmm.
in the future. So, um, and it kind of brings me down and it kind of gives me that motivation again, right? I think we all go through those scary moments where like, like what did I get myself into? Uh, I was I I mean, my rank in the military is pretty high, and it pays well. There
Yeah.
was no need for me to get myself into this business, right? And
Yeah.
so when I hit those moments where like, man, I was like, I was just fine. What did I get on this?
Hmm.
Why did I get on this thing? I go back and I'm like, you know what? Um, this is what I've always been wanting, to be able to make an impact on this earth.
Hmm.
I want
Yeah.
to leave. I want to leave a legacy behind.
Yeah.
I'll be able to say, uh, Diego did this for the community, did this for his kids,
Yeah.
and this is what he's remembered for. So that kind of brings me back again to focus, and I just keep pushing through, and allows me to take on more challenges. It is a very, like I said, you just described it. It's a lot of little things that you have to take in consideration when you just starting a scripting business. But not only that, the business itself, like how do you manage stuff, right? So there are moments right now where like I get super busy, and I don't know if it's the right time for me to start hiring people. Like I'm still trying to learn how do I put people on payroll. So there's a lot of little things that they taking in consideration. So I just kind of have to just take a deep breath and then see what's a priority, and
Hmm.
then I just tackle on that, and then just take one thing at a time, and then just keep moving. But I've learned to kind of like get used to that, and so I no longer feel that scared. I'm always going to be scared to move to the next big thing, right? Because that's part of our who we are.
Right.
But I'm not scared to jump when it's time to jump. I think I've lost that fear because I understand what my purpose is and
Yeah.
what I want to accomplish.
Well, and I feel like you're in it deep enough where like you back out. Like there's more negative repercussions of you wiping your hand for something you've been dedicating so much time to than it is to continue to try to pursue through, right? I feel like and I mean, I kind of am in a little bit of entrepreneurship with what I do, right? I do my own marketing, I sell myself, I whatever,
Yeah.
right? I provide services. What doesn't matter what it is. I feel like that often requires an entrepreneurial mindset.
Mhm.
But what I would say is I feel like when you get far enough, like reality and your core values kick you in the ass, and you're like, and the people you surround yourself with, to be like, no, dude, you've come too far to do this, or you invested too much time to turn around and turn your back on something you've been
Yeah.
doing for X amount of time. I feel like those influences could be good friends, kids, partners, those types of things, that have seen you succeed. But also, like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, when I put together, like, I mean, marketing's hard, right? Like having to do the marketing and then do all the other BS on the side, like that's just an added problem, right?
Yeah.
You call it a problem because it is. You're trying to figure out the nuances of what your audience wants, like what's and we as humans are really, we're drawn to like, well, I got X amount of views, but I only got this amount of likes, right? And it's like, I don't give a shit how many likes I have at this point anymore. Now I just give a shit if people are watching, right?
Yeah.
But when you come up with something super creative, whether it be content, design, somebody's like, yeah, Diego, that was fucking badass what you did, right? Like, I feel like that's the extra, like, like that extra oomph that you need in order to be like, okay, I'm doing the right thing, right? Like
Yeah.
no matter that I feel like I'm struggling or if I'm overwhelmed, I'm doing the right thing. Like this is still what I'm meant to do, right?
Mhm.
But I think you also know that those people that are around you would 1,000% look you in the eye and say, hey, it's time to, you know. But I think that they would also do that by way of looking at you and seeing how it either is positively or negatively impacting your overall well-being. And so long as it is positively, I mean, I watch your social media. Like I know you have a large following and TikTok and Instagram, and you are really well known without throughout the community. there's a there's nothing that shouldn't tell you that this business is gonna, it's already booming, it's gonna explode, right?
Mm.
I mean, could you imagine if you went on like a region level? Like if I was like,
Yeah.
yo, you know, like I know you do favors for people in other states, like myself, but could you imagine like have you ever thought about like expanding on more of like a regional level or
Yeah. I I think that's, I mean, that's the goal, right? The goal is for me to be able to be known all over the world. I
yeah,
mean, that is where I see myself. That is where I see BCG at.
yeah,
Um, but to go back to what you just mentioned, when you get that gratification from people that say, "Hey, you're doing a good job," it is kind of like that cherry on top. But I
mhm,
always say, it took me a little bit to not care what people think, right? Not care about the likes, right? Because you feel like, um, when I first started, I was like, did my first post. I wouldn't talk, right? Because I was very camera shy. So it was just my post, and then you will see like maybe one or two people would like it, and then you get stuck on that, right? And then you start questioning yourself, is like, is what I'm doing good enough for people to like it?
mhm,
Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's not that good. Maybe I should just quit, right? But when when you when you stop not caring about it and just do you because you see the vision in it, that
mhm.
is where things are going to start growing faster. And I think that's where I think I was able to kind of take off.
Sure.
I just started doing me.
Yeah.
I felt that BCG was, I saw where it was going, um, and I just started posting. And I just recently now started becoming more camera exposed, right? Because I mean, I really don't care what people think about me, all right? And I don't mean that in an arrogant way, right? I mean it in a way like there's going to be a flavor for everybody, right? Some people
Mhm,
are not going to like my style, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. There will be somebody that likes my things, what
mhm,
I produce, and they'll come and talk to me, and we'll go from there. But I think once you stop worrying about what all the people think about your goals, things are going to be a little bit smoother. You're going to feel more free on acting on it and making a decision
mhm.
without thinking whether this is the right move or not. You're going to just jump in there, and then it's going to be it's going to allow you to kind of learn faster and grow. Um, so that's one thing that I got from just not worrying about what other people think. Now, the algorithms of how social media works is kind of crazy. So you kind of want them to like your stuff because that opens up more doors. But I
Right.
mean, it is what it is, right? And I think eventually will the more I bring to the table as far as my brand and the products that I do, it'll expand. But
Mhm,
yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that I think people need to that want to start their own businesses need to focus on is just what is their vision and what they want to accomplish, and then let everything else will fall in. Being around the right people is key, right? You're always going to have negativity everywhere, and I see the people that talk, that give you the to talk shit about you or talk shit about your product is the people that are scared, right? Is I don't think they do it maliciously. I think they just scared to do themselves.
mhm,
So and the way that they level themselves up to be or excuse themselves of not taking those chances is by talking bad about the other person, right? Or they'll call you crazy, right? I've had a lot of people that like, man, you just need to relax. Like this, you work too much.
mhm,
No, I don't feel like I'm working too much. I mean, I am excited. I lose myself when I start working on my business. But uh, if you surround yourself with people, entrepreneur mindships, minds, you will get that they will not tell you to back down. You will
mhm,
get the opposite. You will get the people that are in the same mentality as you. They have the same goals. Will tell you to keep going. But they will never. You will never hear somebody tell you like, "Oh, you should just take a pause, like take a break and don't do it." They would be like, "No, you're doing great. Keep pushing through it. At least that's what I do when I talk to people that are trying to start their own business. Like, heck yeah, let's go. Like, let me know where I can help you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it's all about the crowds and the you hang around your support channel that you have is going to be huge when you start taking off on a new business.
We've talked about that, you and I, and I'm glad you brought it up because I wasn't thinking it until you did, but we've talked about that. I remember specifically coming to you some time ago. I mean, well, first, when we did this, um, you know, this idea of a podcast was in my back pocket back in COVID, like, because
Mhm.
that's what people were doing. People were building podcasts because we didn't have anything else to do, right?
Yep.
I came up with the logo and some social media pages that I never posted on. And then later on, fast forward to I think like towards the end of my master's degree, I utilized it slightly because I was interviewing people. I'm like, awesome, this is content, right? And I remember we interviewed and I was like, yeah, I got busy. I think it was like right before I moved, actually, right
Yeah.
to out here, right? And I was like, yeah, I know I've been like super busy, you know, blah blah blah. And I was, but I also had kind of like was going through an identity crisis because my I knew my career was going to change. I didn't know what I was going to change to. Um, and then I felt like the more people I started talking to about this podcast, people were like, there's so many podcasts out there. It's going to get lost, blah, 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 all this other stuff. I'm sure you got the exact same thing about t-shirt companies, right? Like there's so many t-shirt companies out there. And I remember when I got my full-time job, my boss said, um, the best way you can market yourself is being authentically you, right? So not try to cater to what you believe that, and I do that sometimes, not try to cater to what you believe people want in content, what people believe, like people want to know who they're working with, right? So
Yeah.
for example, like people when you post things about you grinding in the garage or coming out with new designs or you know helping this school or this program or whatever it may be, people are like, all right, like sweet, he's doing schools, I know somebody that is looking for a guy, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like I remember you talking, we talked about it like probably midsummer, and or maybe it was when I started my this new job. I said, you know, I feel like Diego, when you tell I read this thing about when you tell people about your ideas and they're not the right people, they're you're less likely to follow through with what
Yep.
you're doing, right? And it was funny because I came up with this idea of continuing, you know, like Shauna has always been like, you love interviewing people and you love learning about like, why do you not want to continue to do this? And I'm like, you know what? You're right. So I started interviewing people on YouTube and I was like, okay, this could get somewhere. And then I post on Facebook and all these people are like, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of it. And to be honest, like to your like, but I don't give a shit if I'm interviewing, you know, my best friend or a Fortune 500 company, you know,
Yeah.
entrepreneur. I just people that I knew I was doing right by people when I interviewed. I think it was my second interview. I did Mike Kahn, which you listened to and you're like, that was
Yeah.
awesome. And then I did Katie O'Brien, which is a long-term friend of mine. We talked about her faith journey, and in the middle of the night, I woke up to a text from one of my former athletes and was like, you have no idea how much I needed that podcast. And then I was like, all right, I'm putting
Yeah.
this forth. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Um, so it's interesting how the outside chatter can kind of get us away from deviating away from who we authentically are.
Mm.
And unfortunately pigeonhole us into positions that you know, they don't allow us to be creative in the first place, which is why we decided to do what we were doing, you know?
Yeah. Dude, there's a lot of if and I'm pretty sure you're listening to a lot of other podcasts and business um read business books and all this stuff, right? Um one thing that I always hear when I listen to a motivational thing every morning when I go to work, right? I
Yeah.
kind of stepped away from music. I'm in my car, because that usually when I drive, I just want to be really quiet. So I'm listening to podcasts, people that like just going to pump me up for the day, right?
Hmm.
And they always say like, don't don't um don't overexpose your accomplishments, or don't blab them out, right?
Like,
Because uh, you know, it goes back to like, if you have an idea and you blab it out to the wrong people, you're going to be less likely to actually do it, right? And I think that only means in when you're talking to the right crowd, right? Because you want to be able to expose myself, right? So I was getting confused on that until a little bit, right? Because I want to show everything I'm doing, right? And
like,
I'm not doing it because, I'm trying to let my competition know whatever. I really don't care what my competition is doing. I wanted to expose because I want the right people, to hit the right people, right? That is going to open up to more audience for me to see it. But I think what they meant by that is like keeping stuff quiet is if when you open it to the wrong people, right? And I'm not saying they're you can't be friends with us. It's just saying that I think they're just saying open it to the right people that have the right mindset that's going to help you grow on it, right? You might have a really good friend, but they just don't have that mindset of entrepreneurship, right? So that doesn't make them a bad person. I think you just don't want to share that because you're not going to get nothing positive out of it besides shouting it down, right? So why waste your time trying to explain somebody that's not going to understand your vision, right? So you would open that up to somebody that is in the same level, and you will see how much ideas you will get. That I love helping people. That is my biggest thing. Even though I want to grow my company, at the end of the day, I want to help people out, right? One of the biggest struggles that I had when I started this is I started hitting people out in the same community, and I found that some were very, very selfish with the information, right? Because they felt it was a competition. They felt like I was going to take over probably their business, and they did not want to share it. They would say like, "Oh, it's part of the learning curve," and go out there and just get some training classes, or they'll send me the link, be like, if you pay me this much, I'll teach you. And then I was like, wow, like what I'm asking is just basic stuff. I'm not telling you to you know teach me the next advanced level that's going to take over the world, right? So um I want to do the opposite, right? I want to help people out. So whatever it is, whether how to screen print or how to find get a license, some of the struggles that I went through, it's insane on how much people like to keep that information to themselves, and it, the market for at least for my thing, it's immense. I mean, there's room for everybody to have a piece of the pie. So I don't longer worry about so much about like um money wise or anything like that. My goal is like actually I love helping out. So if this helps out people on how to be less scared of starting a business, by all means, I love talking to them, or how to get your license or whatever. That is what my passion, I guess, would be after um, behind what BCG stands for. So yeah, it's fun. I don't know.
I think there's a difference between, um, I've seen that too, right? Like competitors, like, and obviously I work with people who do the exact same thing as as I do, right? Like, um, and one thing I will say is like one of my colleagues is, um, she's super awesome. Like we were like, I was like, hey, I came out, I was like, hey, I don't want to play in your sandbox, but I think two people is better than one. We're gonna,
Mhm.
you know, let's bounce things off each other. Let's set our pride aside. Let's bounce things off of each other. Let's help each other out. And to me, like to your point, I want to be able to pick up the phone and be like, hey, so what do you think about this? Like, can I run this by you? Rather than digging through some, 40-minute YouTube video, like, hey, how
Yeah.
did you do this? Right. It's just so much easier. It's more time efficient. And it's funny because later on, if I ask for a favor, I know I'm going to give one in return, and vice versa, right? Like that's just the power of relationships and communities. And I
Yes.
people are stronger when they have a tribe that they're able to call. and they have all these like variety of people that have different specialties, whether it be computers, marketing, t-shirts, you name it, right? When they're like, hey, yeah, you're going to be doing me a favor, but you're going to benefit from it. And then vice versa, when a conversation comes up later on, you'll be like, oh yeah, I got a friend that advises athletes about college. Like, hold on, here's your business card, right? Or
Yeah.
I got a dude who does t-shirts, like, you know. So I think that that's awesome. And you know, it I feel like a lot of this maybe translates into um like being being a father as well, right? Like though that's the type of, or parent even, you those are to the types of qualities and characteristics you want to emulate on your kids, you know?
Yeah.
And I've seen your kids, like they are the most polite and respectful kids I've ever come across.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Yeah, that's at least that's the example I want to give them, right? I want to be able to let them know that they can be anything, and for them to be able to not be afraid to try things out, but
right.
also uh how would I say it, to be humble about it, right?
Yep.
um you said my kids are very, very well behaved. I think that is more kudos to them. They're very good kids, and I'm very thankful for that. But my main goal will be to like make sure that they grow up to be that hardworking people, that they're a positive influence in this world. I think that's the ultimate um, gift that your kids can give you, and I hope that I'm doing the best I can to kind of give them a good example of it. I know sometimes I sacrifice uh, quality time because I'm trying to get this done, and they always talk about like you know balance, right? Life balance between and personal and business, and that is hard. Um, and that is one thing that an area that I struggle, and I'm working towards it to make sure that um,
Hold on. I'm
that
sorry. Hold on one second. My dog is dreaming. Stop. And she was growling and I didn't, she's like, "Arr." Anyways, you're trying to bestow on them the example.
yeah, and so it's I want them to be able to like continue what this is all about, right? And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be BCG. It has to be whatever they want, but to have a passion, to have a purpose in this world, and I don't know. It's hard to explain because, like I said, I try to balance that time and to make sure they understand that what I'm doing is it's not just for me, it's for them, but also to help others out.
Mhm.
And luckily, I've been blessed with having kids that understand that, and they don't throw it in my face, or they really appreciate it. But I am working towards a better way to manage my time and make sure that they have their dad in their life as well. Because this can definitely take a lot of time. And like I said, I lose myself. I can go in there and start screen printing. Next thing you know, it's like 2 in the morning. It's like, oh, I need to stop. Like I need to go get some rest. But so
Right.
now I got a big planner that I write down, make sure that I kind of allocate certain times. But yeah, it's with the whole thing about fathers, right?
Yeah.
So um, because of the whole idea behind it, like what is my intent of in this world, right? Um, I am now part of a podcast as well. Um,
Okay.
yeah, so where the idea is to help other fathers, you know, um, not say that I'm better than anything, right? But to just kind of give each other advice, right? So
Yeah.
I was invited by a group of friends uh, to be part of this podcast called the Fatherhood Exclusive,
Uh-huh.
and it has been an awesome change of pace, I guess, when it comes down to you being part of an actual podcast. So I understand now why you like it. I love interviewing people. We have to interview people as well, and we
Mhm.
get to just kind of have a room for dads to kind of chat about being a father in general. So, and then with that is we're able to help other dads that might be struggling with some areas of fatherhood. And yeah, it's been a freaking cool time. I
It's
love.
it's to be honest, I feel like especially with the audience that you're going to like, there's no handbook on how to parent. Like, I
No,
mean,
there's not.
so and the cool thing is I feel like I mean I don't have much experience being a parent. Obviously, Shada has kids, and I'm learning. That's been a learning curve for me. But I was just talking to one of my friends too. Like, to be honest, like I've had athletes. Like that's kind of I've parented my athletes, but
Yeah,
it's a hard thing to do in a society that just continues to challenge people. So if I feel like that's super awesome you guys get to do that because half of maybe sometimes half the battle is just knowing you're not alone and people are feeling the same way. Like the whole saying misery loves company, like that's a real thing, right? And maybe it's not misery, but maybe it's just validation of some sort where dads are like, man, they're struggling with that too. Like,
yeah,
um,
exactly.
you know, I think that there's some really good things that can come from people just feeling like they are included. Um, they are included. Um, Even if it's indirectly, you know.
Yep.
Um,
It's and to say the least, it's taken off a very positive thing out in social media. We've gotten a lot of compliments from it because we don't focus on a specific, like we don't have an agenda, right? It is more of a room to where like fathers get to jump in and kind of express what they're going through or like some of their experiences, and it's been super cool. It's been received by a lot of people as a an awesome space to just kind of just go out there and I won't say vent, but just kind of express some of your experiences, and you kind of get to see like, oh man, I'm like you said, we're not the only ones going through this stuff. Um, Motivate them to be like, hey, it's okay to if you're struggling in this area, it's fine. And by that, by no means are we saying this men are weak or fathers are weak by jumping in here. It's more for like kind of like when you go to the barber, right? Back in the day, your barber used to be like your therapist. So
yeah,
that's kind of like the area that we built. Is like
yeah.
I just kind of just go out there and just be like, hey, I'm a dad too. This is what I'm going through, and he's like, yeah, yeah, I've done that before. So
So are you guys on Spotify and Apple or just Spotify?
we are in Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and uh, Spot. No, what is it?
SoundCloud?
Pod Addicts.
Oh, Pod Addicts. Okay.
Comics. So yeah, we just recently moved into YouTube just because um, our other platforms are just voice, and I think it's important to tie uh, a face to what you
Hmm.
putting out there, right? I listened to this guy, an entrepreneur guy, um, Bedros Cooling Show, right?
Okay.
And I don't know if you ever heard of him, but this dude is awesome. I listen to him every Monday. He puts out one new episode, and he talks about when you are trying to promote yourself, you wanna sell like your image because people want to make business with people. They don't want to make business with a name,
Yeah.
right? So hence why I'm now coming out into camera a
Mhm.
little more. So that is why we ended up moving it also into YouTube to kind of show that like we're just regular average dads out there doing the same thing. And there's nothing special about us. Some was living in a house, some was living in an apartment, some was are just talking through a phone because we don't have a computer. You know what I mean? So um, we're not excluding anybody. So I think it kind of makes you a little bit more vulnerable and ties you to that other person when they actually see a face. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, to be frank, that's why I transitioned into YouTube. I feel like majority of um people are doing podcasts over Zoom or some sort of platform similar to it. And there's an authenticity about like you learn about people. Like for
Yeah.
instance, like people are going to take that I must be a Hawkeye fan, right? People are going to take that my dog has puppy dreams. Like,
Mm.
and this goes away with this idea of like, yeah, it's super nice to have like a somewhat quiet house when you do a podcast, but like life goes on outside of this interview, right?
Yeah.
Like today I stopped my girlfriend from taking a shower because she didn't want to walk back and forth. Yes. But did I stop her from doing dishes or anything else downstairs? No, right? I feel like there's some sort of authenticity that comes with that. People can do these podcasts, and I'm not Bill Maher and I have this little niche room that I have all these cool aesthetic lights and
Right.
my nice ass chair, interviewing Jillian Michaels as she's like all, and I'm a huge Jillian Michaels fan, all like this and here, and he's drinking booze and he's like, do you drink? And she's like, no, I don't drink. I just drink a lot of caffeine. He's just taking out a shaker bottle. Like life goes on now, and I think that video makes that super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
love it. It's been awesome. I love it.
so before we close, what would you say that you wish you would have known um before you started becoming an entrepreneur?
Ah,
Somebody maybe would have told you, you're like, man, I really wish I'd have known that. That would have saved me a lot of time.
to be honest with you, I don't know. I think that even though at that moment I probably would have wanted somebody to kind of give me the shortcut, I actually, now that I look back, I wish I'm happy with how things went out. I think that me going through the struggles of looking for the information and finding it myself got me where I'm at. Made me more resilient, made me more focused, and so I don't really think it that way anymore. I think of it. I'm very actually very thankful that things pan out the way they did.
Yeah.
It opened up to show me that what's out there. It's not all. It's not what we what we think it is, right? So with that said, I mean, you know, nothing is supposed to be handed to you, right? Sometimes we get into this whole thing about like, they could have just told me and give me the shortcut and answer, right? Yes, if the person is willing to help you out, awesome. That's good for them, but they're not they're not required to do so, right? If you want something, you got to go out there and get it. And so I wouldn't change anything. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that at that moment I probably was frustrated, but now that I look back, I'm glad that actually I went through all those struggles, and because it actually pushed me to do the research myself, actually pushed me to actually understand a lot of what goes behind screen printing, what goes behind embroidery, or just goes behind in general of business running, right? I still have a lot more to learn, and I am now okay to just do my own research. I no longer are waiting for somebody to give me a handout, and I don't want to sound arrogant or anything like that, but when I communicate or I talk with people that are like minded, if they want to share their information, they will do so, and I will take on it and put it to work. But if they don't, that's okay, because we live in a world that information is at the palm of your on the palm of your hands. What is it called?
Your fingertips. Yeah.
Fingertips or whatever, right? You're so accessible to it.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why I can't just go over there and Google it. And if whatever Google gives me, I will try it out. If it doesn't work, we'll try something new. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I
That's good
think
to know.
yeah.
That's good to know. So, I know you kind of mentioned that you right now are staying mostly strictly to Washington as far as orders go, but I mean, for all those Washington people out there, or even those that are just, I don't know if would you take one-offs? Like how do people find you? Is it word of mouth? Can they look you up on the internet? Do they do they mostly referrals? How do people find BCG?
So I am on social media. So I'm on Facebook as Battle Cry Gear Official, and then Instagram as Battle Cry Gear Official. So a lot of people that have placed orders have done it through those platforms via um, direct message or whatever. But I also do have a website, so it's battlecrygear.shop. So right there you will find more mainly what BCG is, right? So like a lot of specific brand. But I am now working into expanding that website to where you're going to have a custom site where it'll have a custom profile where you can go over there and select, let's say you want a t-shirt, you upload your image and what kind of fonts or whatever you want on it, and then that will come through me, and then I'll at that point I will create the order.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
so I am mainly Washington, and I know this question has come across before. I am not locked into Washington, so if there's people out there that want stuff from different states, please hit me up. I definitely will ship stuff down to different states. I've done some work for Florida and Texas. Those are the only two states that I've worked so far. So yeah, I'm open to any orders, any challenges. So yeah.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Well, this has been super fun. We'll have to do it again soon. I'm gonna learn more about your fatherhood platform,
Yes.
fatherhood exclusive platform, and I know you're going to be hooking me up with some gear as well, and then
Yeah.
you can add Utah to that list. But yeah, for sure, I'm glad this worked out, and I very much appreciate you sharing your story, sharing your experiences, and telling us a little bit about how you got to here. And we look forward to seeing you prosper as you continue to go on. I've seen you literally just bam, 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 embroidery. I mean, just every time I feel like I see some of your social media, it's just I'm doing something else. I'm doing something else. I'm doing something. So it's super awesome. It's super awesome. I really love to see it. So
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's awesome chatting with you. I mean, we're outside of this, we're good friends, so it's always good talking to you. And like I said, keep doing what you're doing. I love your podcast. I think your style of interviewing is different and unique, and it just I love it. I've listened to every single episode that you have posted, and me and you have talked about it afterwards, and it's awesome. You have your own uniqueness to it, and it is very captivating, and I love it. I think it's gonna go big. So you
I
just keep
appreciate it.
doing it.
I
Keep doing
appreciate
it.
it. Well, thanks, Diego. We'll chat soon.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
All right, take care.